To my viewers, thank you for trusting me with your time. Your support means more than words can convey. And tonight, I promise a story that will grip you until the very last heartbeat. It started with a text, simple and innocuous. Or so I thought. We need closure. One last night. I stared at my phone in disbelief, my fingers trembling. It was from my wife, the woman I had built my world around. A chill ran down my spine as my stomach twisted into knots. My first thought was denial. Closure with an ex? That doesn't happen. Not to me. Not to us. We had been married for 7 years, a decade of memories woven together. I remembered the first time I held her hand. The nights we stayed up talking until dawn. The dreams we built side by side. And now, this text threatened to unravel all of it in a single line. I confronted her gently, trying to mask the storm inside me. I need to see him one last time, she said, her voice quiet but steady. It's just closure. I need to know nothing's left unsaid. I promise it won't affect us. Her eyes held a sincerity that almost convinced me. Almost. I wanted to believe her. I wanted to trust the woman who had been my anchor through so many storms. But a whisper of doubt had taken root in my mind, growing heavier with each passing hour. The next day, subtle things began to unsettle me. Her phone, which had always rested unlocked on the counter, was suddenly off limits. She laughed a little too easily at her own jokes, distracted when we talked. There were receipts I didn't recognize, charges that didn't make sense. It's just a work thing, she said when I asked. You worry too much. But I couldn't shake it. Suspicion is a quiet poison, seeping into the smallest crevices of thought. I started paying attention, noticing the micro-expressions I had once missed. The twitch of her lips when she was on a call. The way her eyes darted toward the door when she whispered, "By at night." The faint scent of another perfume she never used. I told myself I was imagining it. It's just stress. We've been busy. Yet the unease persisted, growing into a storm that refused to be calmed. Then came the night that shattered everything. We were supposed to have a quiet dinner, just the two of us. I poured wine, lit the candles, tried to salvage the intimacy that was slipping through my fingers. She was distracted, scrolling on her phone under the table, her smile tight and forced. My heart thumped painfully as I glanced at the screen. A message notification popped up. Can't wait. Tonight. The blood drained from my face. I wanted to scream, to demand answers, but my voice caught in my throat. I reached for her hand, trembling, and she pulled away. I told you it's nothing, she murmured. But the words rang hollow. The silence that followed was suffocating. A heavy curtain of unspoken truths between us. I stayed awake that night, piecing together moments I had brushed off. Memories that now bore a sinister edge. The way she had insisted on late-night work calls. The weekends she spent visiting family that didn't exist. The way her laughter sometimes seemed rehearsed. The pieces fit together in a horrifying pattern. The next morning, I made a quiet decision. I followed her. Not out of paranoia. I told myself it was out of necessity, a desperate attempt to protect what was left of my life. I trailed her to a hotel downtown, heart hammering, breath shallow. Through the frosted glass, I saw him, her ex. They were close, too close, laughing as if the years apart had never existed. And then I saw it. The subtle intimacy, the brush of a hand, the tilt of a head. Closure? It was a lie. A cruel, calculated betrayal. I didn't confront her immediately. I watched, numb and broken, letting the truth carve itself into my chest. I left before she noticed me, walking the streets like a ghost, the reality sinking in with each step. When I returned home, she was waiting, innocent eyes masking guilt she could not hide forever. She started, but I cut her off. Save it, I said, my voice calm but cold. I saw everything. The closure you needed wasn't for healing. It was for you. Her face went pale. The walls of our life, the home we built, the dreams we shared, the trust one had given unconditionally, collapsed in that instant. The next hours were a blur of silent packing. I couldn't watch her touch our life with hands that had betrayed it. She didn't cry. She didn't beg. Perhaps the guilt had numbed her. I watched as she stuffed clothes into suitcases, her movements mechanical, her eyes empty. I felt a strange mix of relief and devastation. Relief that the truth was out. Devastation at the loss of the woman I loved. When she was gone, I sat in the wreckage of our living room, the echo of her footsteps still haunting the air. Cards declined, our accounts frozen. I had taken every precaution in the weeks leading up to this revelation, quietly protecting myself while unraveling the reality. The marriage that had once promised forever was officially closed. I thought of every lie, every subtle betrayal, every unspoken doubt that had crept into our life. And I mourned, not just the love lost, but the person I thought she was, the life I believed in. Weeks later, I walked past a cafe where we had shared mornings of laughter and dreams. I paused, inhaling the air, tasting the bitterness of what was lost. The memories remained, vivid and painful, but so did the clarity. I had been betrayed, yes, but I had survived. The betrayal had cost her everything, but it had given me something I hadn't realized I needed. The freedom to reclaim my life, to grieve fully, and to rebuild stronger. I didn't hate her. Hatred would have been too simple, too convenient. Instead, I felt a quiet sorrow, a heavy understanding of human frailty and flawed love. She had sought closure in the wrong place. And in doing so, lost the only home she truly had. And I had found the strength to close the chapter without losing myself. As I locked the door behind her final suitcase, I whispered to the empty room, "Goodbye. I hope you find what you were really looking for." And in that silence, I felt the weight of betrayal lift just slightly, leaving room for hope, for resilience, for the possibility of a future unburdened by deceit. The cards were declined, the marriage closed, but my heart, though wounded, still beat with the courage to move forward.